Yeah, well, y'all would be surprised to hear. I think that my take on Ahsoka was not remarkably different from your own.
I did see someone post of Ahsoka's more fun if you take a drink every time she crosses her arms. I was like, yeah, I bet that's true.
Episode 450 of the TV Dudes, recorded August 30th, 2023. Top 10 so far. This week, it's our 450th episode, and we're talking about our top shows of the year so far. Plus, we've got our usual assortment of desserts. My Adventures with Superman, Harley Quinn, The After Party, and Justified City Primeval. Before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. Now, this is technically not our 450th episode.
I
We've
was going to
renumbered a couple
ask,
times.
is this some comic book renumbering? This is
comic book renumbering.
Yeah.
We have, except unlike comics where I feel like they're just kind of doing like, so that they're just going to weird freaky math so they can do issue 1000 every month somehow.
This is the new 50 Dudes? Is that?
We have done 450 episodes, but I don't know. I actually has lost the mists of history when we renumbered and how many we've done. And I feel like we did it twice. So we're probably well into our 500th episode.
Silo style. How long have we been down here?
How long have we been out? We don't know. And nobody knows what happened. And Rashida Jones is outside knocking on the window.
I'm gonna love
any
questions like, so how long have you been podcasting? I actually don't know.
I don't. Too long is how long.
When was the iPod first out? 2 years before that.
That's
right. There were no listeners.
We began the podcast. We have always podcast, and we always.
I was gonna say, depending on when you start, you might be able to we covered both writer strikes, so 2007 to.
You know what's funny?
That's how we'll refer to it from here on.
Which writer strike we're on? Yeah.
Right.
I actually think we're probably just going to be still on the same writer strike if it keeps going the way it's.
The first episode I was on, we were bitching about Heroes season 2.
My
God, Grandpa, did you take your pill today?
What the fuck is Heroes?
I love that. I won't have the first episode I was on, we bitched about something called The Irregulars, and there was never a second season of that, and it's ethereal as to when it actually came out. No one can really know when that show happened because no one remembers it.
It was a simpler time where the thing I was maddest about was the OA.
You know what, though, guys? With Netflix and streaming being the way they are, both of those are going to vanish down the memory hole anyway. So the OA and the Irregulars will not be streaming anywhere.
I'm sorry, the WA.
The WA.
It's nice to know that there's some of these that will be lost to history are not going to be as some of these we could lose. Some of these won't be cried.
Man, I already had that moment just as great a year, and we'll talk about it on the real list, but as great a year in television as it's been, there were already several on here where I
forgot there was a Grease show.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, Nick looked over and was like, there was a Grease show. I remember this now.
It's already gone. It's vanished from Paramount. It does not exist.
Gun to your head. What is Wolfpack?
Oh, fuck. I don't remember what Wolfpack is. Yeah. Wow.
And it had Sarah Michelle Gellar Wolf Show had a really great opening with all the animal stampede.
I didn't watch that. That's right. I didn't watch that one.
It's like the ghost ship of shows. I'm sure it was fine. It did not engage me past that badass opening though.
Yeah. Well, that's where we are right now, aren't we? We're not in the golden age of streaming anymore. We are definitely past peak TV.
And Nick and I watch a lot of shitty shark movies and all sorts of lower end of horror and stuff. And let me tell you, they can all start.
Oh man,
all of them kick off. They can
open like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, when it comes to closing.
Man, people have taken that first 10 pages of your screenplay thing really seriously. These movies fucking start.
Put that coffee down, studios. Coffee is for closers. They don't
stick the landing so much as like if I ran up to a pommel horse and really put my all into it and put both hands on it and jumped, man, that opening second will look fucking cool. And everything that happens
dismount's
after
gonna be pretty rough.
Man, it's going to be years of explaining that in insurance trials and shit.
But memorable. All right, let's, without any further ado, talk about our TV diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
and I'm gonna go first. Uh, less for a minute last. I was listening to the episode, and for a minute I thought you were actually gonna read my TV diary. It's like, oh, cool. I want to have so
Why
much
would
stuff
you
to talk
think
about.
that?
No, I don't know why I thought that Les wasn't gonna make a
after
joke about me
week
watching
of going
anime.
back and
What was
forth.
great was when I started doing the bit, I had my TV diary pulled up. Yours is a column next to it,
Yeah,
and
you
I
were
had a
looking at
moment
my
of like,
TV diaries.
I was like, well, I guess I could just nope. That's not what we planned to do.
Nope. Yeah, I thought for a second you were going to do the work for me, but no. Instead, you had to make a joke about anime.
I'm so glad I don't have a personal life, so I don't have to ever not be on these. So, good God, what would you do if I was not here?
I
It's
don't
a
recommend having
podcast
the kind of
equivalent
personal
of-
life that I have.
Yeah, writing penis on somebody's forehead.
I wrapped up my Parks and Rec rewatch with season 7, which I'd forgotten that I forgot that season 7's an abbreviated season. It has that whole thing with Leslie and Ron are at war the whole time, and it works way better than I thought it would. Like that shouldn't work, having the two leads at each other's throats the way it did. But the way they resolved it was really great and very sweet. They
Yeah,
really stuck their landing on it. Like
I was
it's great.
neutral on the Ron and Leslie fight, and then I liked how it resolved. Fanny really hated it, and like was like those two characters would never be. I was like, well, I mean that's part of the
Yeah.
story is that they would never be at each other's. But
Yeah.
it was completely out of bounds. Like
I'm in the same boat. Like
I get
what-
it. Like,
as I was
is
watching
weird.
it live the first time, I hated it. I was like, I don't want this. You have one more season of the show. What are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Right.
But when they reveal why he's so mad at her, I was like, oh yeah, he betrayed everything for her, and she totally forgot. Like I totally get why he would be so angry. Like he was coming to her to ask on hands and knees for a job in the federal government, and she blew him off. Like that is,
Yeah.
I understand why that would be a nuclear kind of
Mhm.
level.
Plus, don't they
Um,
end up in like the sprinklers with him playing sax and like it's just
Yep,
insane.
yep. It is. It's great. So it earns its show. And with that done, I decided it was time to rewatch You're the Worst because I've been wanting to rewatch You're the Worst. I don't know that I've ever seen seasons 3 and up more than once.
Sure.
I've seen the first season a couple times. Did you guys know that You're the Worst is kind of shorter than Parks and Rec, and you can watch the whole thing in like 2 weeks? Because that's almost what I've done.
Nice.
I mean, we can't count. A lot of shows are shorter than Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I was thinking in my head, I was like, okay, well, I'll watch You're the Worst, and then I'll get something else. But no, I'm almost through it. Like it's like 10 episode, 12 episode seasons, and they're half-hour shows, and they are so satisfying to watch in chunks that I just kind of like burn through a season in a day. And
Man,
so
where's
I have not
actor
watched
that
the final
plays his
season.
PTSD roommate. Like
I know Desmond Borges.
Oh,
He's great.
Yeah, no, he turns up and stuff, but it's
I
never a show
loved him, and
that
I
like
was
it's always
kinda
a like.
like,
But I
man,
don't like this
what's
show.
the next thing you're doing?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have.
what is
I
the-
have literally. I have put at least 3 shows on my radar and watched the first 1 or 2
Oh.
episodes with him just because of him.
Okay,
And
so
inevitably, they are shows I don't remember watching.
he was in Utopia,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was on fucking Welcome to Flash.
Oh,
Yep.
That's a hate crime putting that guy in that
Damn.
show. That is, I mean, putting anyone in that show, but especially
No.
Igor Quintero. That's not right.
I love that Randy
No,
is
like,
like,
you
how
can't
dare
put-
they put a PTSD
No.
vet on that show? Like that was just his character. That's not like, no, it's wrong.
Nope. That is wrong. Yeah, man. Now I'm upset. I didn't know that's where he'd gone. Anyway, yeah, he's not done a ton of stuff. But yeah, also Chris Gear, the other lead, has not been super active either. Like for that matter, Kenner Donahue did a couple of Libby shows, but like the person who went on was Aya Cash.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of funny to watch it and realize
I like
that,
to think
Jim-
Chris Greer's career was stalled by his interview with us. He did a TV Dude's interview.
that was
Haven't
it.
really heard a lot from the
I-
guy since. I got to be
It's
real.
the
We
opposite
scared
of
him off the
Colbert
whole
Bump.
thing. Yeah, he did Detective Pikachu and was like, "I'm
I love
out."
that Les is ready to like take credit for it.
Yeah, whatever power
I'd
I
like
can
to take
get,
credit
man.
for that actor's demise.
I did in watching it. I'd forgotten that Ginger Gonzaga's in early on. She's in one episode because I thought I'd seen her first in somewhere else, and She-Hulk for that matter. Anyway, it's great. It's super funny. It's super super dark. It's super winning. I'm looking forward to watching the final season again because, like I say, I know that ending was perfect for me.
It's a crime that there are not more gifs of Lindsay.
Yes. Oh man, that is the
Why
other
is
thing.
that not all over the internet? I want her
That is-
like pie.
That is
I'm gonna miss her.
That is the other thing I learned in watching this is that I should never date ever again.
Nope.
Because my attraction to Lindsay is dangerous.
Randy,
because that woman would
The
absolutely
punch that
stab me.
cemented that was Joe in Mythic Quest. I realized that between because I said it again with Joe, and I was like, you know what, we did this with Lindsay. It's good that I'm not dating.
I love that Randy is he's like, put me in the lineup to get stabbed by Lindsay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I ran to your knife, baby.
That's where I'm at. I know what's going to happen, and I would still do it, and that's why I should not definitely be out there dating. Man, Lindsay, I love the chaotic energy of Lindsay, and I love when she starts to get her shit together in season 4, but she's still a mess. Like this show is great, and I think it's underrated. I think a lot of people do not know about this show, and pretty soon, when there's no television because the AMPTP are idiots. That is a show.
It is a hard competition when you're on a show called You're the Worst, when a character is so clear, but when you ask, hey, who's the worst on that show? It's Lindsay.
Yeah, there's no community style course on this. There's no who's the boss about it.
She is not the worst. Janet Varney's character is the worst.
Janet.
I
forgot
Becca.
Janet Varney plays evil.
I forgot that Becca goes like full right-wing dickhead at the end. She's calling people libtards. She's got her gay best friend she's making out with.
Oh, that's right. When Vernon, because Vernon murders a dude.
Vernon just murdered
a lot to first start off with when she's just condescending to people.
Oh, she's bad from the outside, but she gets worse and worse. Yeah. It's but I still love her.
Diamond Phillips and his lemons.
Yep. Let's see. I watched because Ahsoka was coming on. I went ahead and watched some of the Clone Wars episodes she was in. That final season of Clone Wars that is basically what Ahsoka was up to during Revenge of the Sith. Which
the final season, or the one they made for Netflix, or
the one they made from the last 7 episodes. Got
it.
That sort of her with the two sisters, and then her going back to the Jedi for like the last go round. So she's around for Order 66.
Yeah.
That is honestly, I think that's the best Clone Wars ever got. I think it's really, really good. And then I spot watched probably 5 or 6 episodes of Rebels that she was in that I knew were going to be important, and I'm glad that I did. So Nick, you have not finished season 4 of Rebels, is that right?
I got to go back and watch, because I realized I really went into Ahsoka, like the trailers promised Rebels cameos, but it did not look like there was.
It's fucking Rebels season 5.
But it's Rebels season 5, and I was not ready. I was like, oh shit. Now I'm like,
it's like they're doing a thing where it's like Rebels season 4 happens, then it ends, the movies, the Return of the Jedi happens, or the movies happen, and then the Rebels epilogue happens, and then Ahsoka happens. And Ahsoka, weirdly, this is so when I watched it, that moment at the end of Ahsoka episode 2 where Sabine touches the mural and goes out and talks to her, that is a recreation of the epilogue of Rebels.
Okay.
That's so Rebels ends, and then there's a where are they now that is after the war, and that is after episodes 1 and 2 of Ahsoka. So they fit that in there. It is. I've seen people talking about this, and I actually think it's a little bit unfair. I've seen people saying don't bother watching Rebels don't bother watching Ahsoka if you haven't watched Rebels. I don't think that's true. I think the character stuff will resonate better, but I don't think they're not explaining everything well enough. They're like, well, he's like, you guys were asking what is Clancy Brown doing here? Well, he played that character on Rebels. That's why he's there.
Oh, right. He's
the governor.
I should have guessed.
He's the governor of Lothal. That's
right.
The character looked like him, and so that's why he's there. And that's why character actor Clancy Brown is in such a weird cameo performance. That's a nod to Rebels. But other than stuff like that, honestly, Ahsoka and Sabine being on the outs and her having been a Padawan, none of that's in Rebels. That is all.
I was going to ask, because I was like,
that's invented backstory.
That isn't okay, because I was going to say, by the point I watched in Rebels season 3, Sabine and Ahsoka had barely ever really interacted. I mean, they were
a little bit,
they were a little bit, but nothing like apprentice. I was like, whoa, when did this happen?
Right. That never happened is the answer.
It never. I got it.
That's invented backstory. The thing that happened is, and I won't spoil too much, but season 4 of the final episode is definitely Ezra and Thrawn being taken to another galaxy, and presumably forever.
Yeah.
And then Rebels ends with Sabine with Ahsoka showing up at Sabine's place and being like, "Let's go find Ezra." So like that is
Cool.
all that was all promised to us. The thing I discovered here, and I'll talk a little bit about my weird animation thing that I've discovered, is that I am generally not a fan of animation. That's why anime has such a hard road for me. It's different than why Les hates anime. I think animation has another level to overcome for me to be like a. So I don't love. I have friends who just adore like Steven Universe and all that stuff, and I cannot plug into it because animation for me, much as I've enjoyed Voltron and Avatar and My versus Superman, Harley Quinn, animation is not a thing I seek out. And so it is weird for me to say that on the other hand, Ahsoka feels like it should have been animated. Like
Hmm.
it feels like it should have been Rebels, just should have been Rebels season 5. I understand why it's not. It's a smaller audience, I get it. But Ahsoka, that first episode, first 3 episodes actually, it feels like it feels like someone saw Andor and how well that did for them, or like, "Hey, can we Andorize this whole thing a little bit?" Because it is weirdly fucking slow.
It feels like if they wanted to make a Rebels show for like, oh, but for adults,
Yes, yeah.
which translates to what if it had more boring talking in it?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you can do slow and interesting. Like, if you get me Vince Gilligan to do Ahsoka, first of all, that'd be a waste of his time, much as I love Ahsoka. That'd be a waste of his time. But he could do this. But the
Mhm.
people doing it, like, I'm like, this is taking too long. I am used to the speed of the Mandalorian. I want my space fun to be fun. And this is not fun. This is mopey. And
Sure.
Rebels was fun, and even though it could be dark at times, it was fun. And Ahsoka's missing that fun for me. It's got bits of it. David Tennant's droid character is the gay sassy droid we all need. Um, and Chopper's always great. And I love having Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera. But
Yeah, she
even
was a pretty
Hera
good
is just
casting for Hera, I thought.
but even Hera is like a little bit withdrawn, whereas Hera was supposed to be this badass pilot, this fiery spirit, and
Everyone
not a
is
lot is
so
there.
I wish there was an in-story reason for it, and here's my pitch for it is that after the war, things after battle clarity, like everything
Yeah,
suddenly like, "Oh
yeah,
shit, now we are in the consequences of everything we did and all the lives that were lost," and now there's because
yes.
when they were in it, it was they were having fun, but it was kind of that level of, "Hey, laugh or cry, like we are doing some serious shit, but we're having like quipping back and forth like gallows humor type thing."
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
wish that they would lean into that more, that the Rebels crew, like, "Hey, so ever since the we won the rebellion, you guys have changed and not for like
Yeah,
the better." And
yeah.
then they could weave that into the story of like, and suddenly they get their groove back, you know? Like,
Yeah, I get that they are Star Wars, but I don't wanna see every character with PTSD,
right,
and
right.
that's what this feels like. It feels like we're watching them all have PTSD, and I'm like, "You know what's not fun? Space adventure with a bunch of characters with PTSD. That's what Andor is for. Do that, that's fine.
Well, really, what you
I don't
said,
want it here."
Ahsoka crossing her arms, that was a different thing of like, okay, I remember watching Rebels where she was a little more mature, sure,
Yeah, yeah,
but she was never standoffish and cold. That's a
yeah.
weird take on it.
It is, and the thing is, like, I really liked what Rosario Dawson was doing with her in
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian,
I thought she
and
was cool in
th
that.
this is of a piece with that, but it's just a little lower and boring.
Well, she treats the
Uh,
Mandalorian like an equal, and she treats Sabine like like a troublemaking
yeah.
kid.
Yeah, and Sabine should be cooler than this. Sabine was always cooler than this, and her being like a bratty kid isn't working for me either. Anyway, I don't know. It's not bad. I'll keep watching it, but I was excited for this, and it's been a bit of a letdown.
And I gotta say, all I can think of now is how much I would watch Breaking Sith.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
Jedi Pink
Same. Yes.
Walker and Skinny
Yeah.
3PO and
Force
B2GR.
bitch.
Oh yeah,
Use the Force, yo. You don't need that targeting
man.
system,
He
bitch.
runs into his dad's old science teacher. Not just gonna be a
Yeah.
fucking moisture farmer. Jesus.
Mr. Vader, that you?
I did see Blue Beetle with an eye toward talking about it on the Patreon, and then I missed that because I was sick. I will say, just as a quick overview, I felt like it'd been overhyped by my friends. I thought it was fine. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was one of the better DC movies, but I thought Sarandon sleptwalked through the whole goddamn thing, and her motivation seemed to be being evil, which I thought was lame.
Yeah.
I thought the family was great. I thought the lead, of course, was fantastic, but mostly I was like, I don't get what everybody's so hyped about this. This is a
It's
B
fine.
level early Marvel movie at best, and it's not even that.
Right,
Yeah, it's
right, Randy. That makes it
Rodriguez's
the
teen
best
Iron
thing
Man.
that DC's done in fucking
Sure.
decade.
No,
Like,
I get that. And hey, representation, I understand where like if you grew up in a Hispanic family, this movie hits in a different way. But for me, man, yeah, I was like, this is fine, but it could have been better.
We all know how movie backlash goes nowadays. Like this movie does not. I liked it well enough, and I'd like to see it do well, and it does not benefit from being overhyped.
Mm-mm.
It's fine.
Few shows can avoid being overhyped. Like I feel like when I finally watched Ted Lasso, I was like, why were you guys underselling it?
Yeah, there's a few shows you can manage it with, but this is not one of them.
And I get why people are excited because any source of joy in the DC universe
it doesn't suck. Yes,
it feels like they are dying men in the desert finally finding a drink of water.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And they're like, this is the best water I've ever tasted.
But man, this is not.
That's just urine from a very hydrated person. No.
It's not notably better than Shazam. It's better than Shazam, but
it is better than Shazam, but not by a long. Yeah, it's arguable. Nick and I had like a polite gentleman's discussion about like the various ways. We're like, oh, that appealed slightly more to me. Well, that appealed slightly more to me. Yeah, they're about even.
Yeah. It really.
Neither of us like either one enough to go, fuck you, Blue Beetle's better. No, fuck you, Shazam's better. They were like, I think that one's a little bit better. But
I will tell you the movie that I watched that could have been overhyped for me, but wasn't, was Joyride, which we're going to talk about this week on Patreon. You two talked about it. You guys had talked to me about it, how funny it was. My friend Nick, who got it, told me how funny it was, and I watch it, and it's fucking hysterical, and everyone should see it, and we're going to talk about that for the Patreon.
Yeah.
I've been keeping up on Lioness, which I'm really enjoying.
I'm gonna
I think
catch up on that.
Zoe Saldana is killing it. There's a scene between her and her daughter that is one of maybe the best acting I've ever seen from Zoe Saldana. And the sort of the nature of being undercover and all that stuff is done really, really well. I am shocked at how much I'm enjoying Lioness. I guess the truth is that just like what's his name? Taylor Sheridan just can't do any wrong for me. I guess I'm gonna have to watch Yellowstone to see if that works for me, because everything he's done I've really liked, despite not wanting to like it.
I love that it's like Randy is only go like I gave it a fair shake. Like no, I actually went in hoping to not like this.
I go in hostile because I do not want to watch right wing media, and I know that that's what this is. But man, it's good.
So
if
that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is. Like Randy, I went in to hate this motherfucker, and it fucking got me.
It's really good, and I watch it every week as soon as it drops. What we do in the shadows, I'm keeping up with. I forget what was this week's.
This week
shadows
was
God damn. With the Baron.
Was it?
The Baron. Oh my god! Yeah. And he accidentally inflames him again.
Ah, yeah. The whole hunting down Guillermo and
right.
Yeah.
And the slow burn on Guillermo's vampire thing, where now everybody but Nandor knows.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was great. And then beyond that, I think it's pretty much all homework except for Only Murders in the Building, which I'm really enjoying. I think I'm doing some good stuff with that. Although I will say, I think we are hitting diminishing returns. I think to some extent, 3 isn't as good as 2, and 2 wasn't as good as 1. Unlike the After Party, which we'll talk about, which I feel like is maybe even better than the first season.
Yeah, hard to say without it finishing, but I can see that.
We're almost there, and it was, man, every episode.
It's pretty great.
By the way, before I want to talk about dessert, but before I forget, did you guys notice at the After Party the credits show you what every episode is?
Yeah. Oh man,
I did not catch that.
Oh, me and Les have been arguing about that for weeks, dude. Of like what we were trying to figure out what the wax person. We thought that was the mom, the wax candle wax thing, but it actually turned out to be
it's
Tiffany Haddish's story.
Yeah.
One like
I realized that in the first
snacks,
season.
One likes the wax.
Oh my god. But yeah, in season 1, the bear was in the opening credits, and that's, I think, it was that episode where I was like, they're all in the opening credits. The whole opening credits is the thing.
And so this week we were like, hey, what the pills, are they different or are they the same in the opening? Like, and they're the same.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about After Party in the After Party.
If people weren't watching the After Party, do we sound insane?
Almost.
I would tend to agree, though. I'm loving After Party. Only Murders, I'm also really, really enjoying, but it's hitting that it's weirdly making it feel more like a stage show because it's hitting that insane, over convoluted theater murder, like matinee dinner theater, like murder mystery thing of like, well, it's season 3, so will they have it be another love interest? Like, surely they won't do Charles's love interest again. Surely they won't do Martin Short's love interest, because that would be basically the same as doing Charles's love interest. Like, so like I'm doing elimination of murderers not by the clues the way I am in After Party, but by the structure of the show.
Well, you can't really do it they don't give you enough.
No.
Like, they don't give you enough info to really.
It doesn't make it feel like it's playing as fair as After Party, which makes it I'm loving them both, but it makes it a different kind of murder mystery. One that's not so much a like actually figure it out, but more just like we're just gonna wait and see what.
Stand by for desserts for my stingray theory in After Party.
Oh yeah. So this week I watched a Polish horror movie called Hellhole. That I immediately had to show Nick the next day of like, okay, you got to watch this. It starts out like In the Name of the Rose monk. There's a policeman infiltrating a monastery that is a sanatorium. They've had they've had like 8 women die. And so they're being investigated, but the police don't really want to investigate them because they're a monastery. And so they send in an undercover cop as a priest.
Sure.
So it's just an atmospheric Polish movie. It's 90 minutes long. It goes from there to completely batshit insane chosen one omen, devil child rituals. It has both like some of the craziest like, oh my god, their magic is real kind of shit that I've ever seen. It also has one of the funniest, oh my god, your magic isn't real moments that I've ever like hilariously like, hey, check.
Have you ever done the whole like multi-day ritual and sacrificed your virgin and then suddenly the devil just doesn't show up?
Right.
Like, come on, man.
Like, man, this monk turns around and like says that like looks back at one of the other guys and in Polish is like, is that Latin right? I don't know. And like he turns around and tries it again. Like, man, I was dying.
They gotta go around and just go to work the next day.
Yeah. There's a very like, well, we're all in this together, fellas. Mistakes were made.
Hey Jeff, how did that Antichrist thing work?
Right.
Considering you're here on this Thursday,
but it is
I'm
fucking banana. Like I'm spoiling some of it, but I don't know how to get people to watch it otherwise. It's fucking like it is hilariously bananas. It is split down the middle on IMDb. It's like a 5 rating. Like it's either 1-star reviewers who were like, this movie makes no sense. Like, man, whatever else it does, it pretty clearly walks you to the end. But then, so like there's either 1-star reviews that are like, this makes no sense, or really high reviews that are like, well, I don't know what you told the people who gave you the money, but fuck, you just went for it. So, yeah, save back their effects for the right moments. It's super fucking weird. Really fun. It's Hellhole. Definitely worth 90 minutes for sure.
Okay.
Nick and I grudgingly watched Flash over on Max, which is finally dropped.
Oh man, so I have not watched this, but my coworker Nick, who will press play and watch anything, has watched all of it. And my coworker Dave, who is much more like me on this kind of stuff, he watched the first like 10 minutes and described it to me, and it sounds worse than I could have imagined.
Wow. So the CG is fucking weak. I mean, like it, but also, man, Doctor Strange's third eye was fucking weak. So I can't really. I didn't
know the microwave baby shit was in the first like 10 minutes.
Holy shit.
Yes. So Nick and I sat down to watch this thing, and like outside of like the opening running CG, like we're like, well, that's unfortunate. Wow.
Yeah.
But as it got further and further into the story and stuff, like I kept looking, like we kept pausing it. It was like, I don't want to admit that this is a good Flash movie for me. Like
neither of us wanted to admit we were enjoying it.
Motherfuckers.
No, and like, really?
And like, I mean, every time I'm pausing it, like we are what fucking 50 years since The Parent Trap, and I'm looking at 2 people on screen, and one of them is clearly like Superman's mustache bad.
It's actually like, it's absolutely unacceptable for a multi-million-dollar project like this. How bad the effects look. But
at the same time, for like the story choices they're making, I'm like, I don't want to like this fucking. God damn it, that's pretty good.
Well, we also watched a bunch of Batman Brave and the Bold after we watched Blue Beetle, because we wanted to watch the Blue Beetle episodes, and we're like So I would have subtitled this movie The Flash, the right kind of dumb. There is a acceptable and indeed expected level of dumb from comic book shit. And The Flash saving babies that are falling in slow motion from more and more possibly
But-
gruesome threats.
And they even say it like Alfred, like over one end of the radio says,
Yeah,
it's a baby.
it's a baby
And he finishes it with shower. Yeah.
No.
And he has to save one of them from a fire by putting him in a microwave that is actively cooking a burrito. The microwave is
He eats the burrito out of it. It's unplugged.
Oh,
obviously.
no, I heard about his "I've got to eat" kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he
like
does
the one thing on his
until he
suit is like
doesn't.
a fucking calorie thing until it stops mattering, obviously. Yeah, I would not have enjoyed that at 2+ hours in the theater. Especially with those effects don't need to be made larger. But on my couch at home, I had literally been waiting on it to just to sit and tear it apart.
You know how I feel about child death and
I thought Nick was
endangerment.
gonna die. I genuinely thought Nick was gonna stop fucking breathing. If I had rewound the baby falling scene again, I'd have killed him. Oh man, seriously. Though between that and the end credits is there's like 6 or 7 babies, a nurse, and a therapy dog.
Yeah,
and
I missed the therapy dog the first time around.
So Nick didn't notice the therapy dog. They do the entire therapy, like the end credits. You watch the entire scene again, just staying on the dog. So it's just the Flash zipping around in the background, like nudging babies here and there.
Well, also they have other good ideas going through the movie, not just like Batman is like a weird homeless looking recluse in his house.
Mm-hmm.
And that they find, and Keaton does a great job with the role, and they recreate the Flash power giving lightning strike with a bat kite, a kite that is in the shape of a bat.
Because of course
this
it
movie
is.
Cost $200 million.
I know.
What happened?
Yes.
I'll tell you, like, but what's probably bugged a lot of other people are kind of the feature for me of like, yeah, that bat kite is tickling me something fierce. I think that's hilarious.
But where does he get all these wonderful toys?
Well, why did he have that to begin? He didn't build that in 30 seconds. He obviously had a bat kite. I would have loved it if he told me that like, oh, I had to use that to fight Weather Wizard at one point.
Y'all, along with the other 2 people I've heard talk about this movie and other people talk, you have successfully convinced me to never ever watch this fucking movie.
I don't think anything in this movie is going to win you over on it. If you
even after our enjoyment of it, the third act goes into this level of you have to watch. It's a fixed time point they're trying to fix, and you got to watch your heroes die over and over again.
Yeah,
and
oh my god,
they thankfully only actually show it twice.
Yeah,
but then they imply like he has to do it several times, and honestly, if you. Yeah, you see there's a whole Savitar thing, and if you've read any of the comics, you obviously, like, from the opening thing of like, oh, okay, so it's Tenet rules, that's you from the future, dude.
Hey, someone pushed him out of the time stream when he was time traveling. Who could have done it?
Who could have?
Was it him from the future?
No.
I don't.
Like, Janet, is it going to be Barry from the future again? If I ask you for the file.
Not to say that this movie it won't change your mind on whether or not they should continue this Zack Snyder universe. But honestly, I actually had more fun watching it than Blue Beetle because it has so many ridiculous things in it.
It feels like a Batman Brave and the Bold episode, which I know is also not going to win Randy over. But yeah, it feels like Dietrich Bader could have easily been Batman in this.
Man, $200 million.
$200 million. Yeah. It costs like a Rebel Moon amount of money, and yeah.
If you want to think about it like a fan film that someone made when you go and watch it, that might help. If you think about how much money it cost, it's not going to help those fucking CGC. Like,
nope.
What was the budget of Waterworld that we excoriated it for?
Here's the thing. There is no way Batgirl was worse than that. There's just no way.
Or the Spiderwick Chronicles series, which Disney Plus just shit canned.
There's no way Batgirl was worse than the Justice League or Batman v Superman.
Why did this get released and Batgirl didn't. I don't understand.
Why did they have to release this? And because the one thing I'm telling you that this doesn't, this made me laugh, this made me enjoy it, I was amazed. The one thing it didn't do was put to bed what the fuck is going on with the DCEU.
Right? Yeah, they didn't have to release this.
No, because the thing it's supposed to do, like the Black Adam, there is a new standard. No, there's not.
And it crashed hard.
Oh my god, it's the biggest flop.
Yeah.
The way that Barbie is the most successful film in Warner Brothers history, I think this is the biggest flop.
I bet you someone could tell me, like Zaslav would say that because canceling Batgirl gave me more of a write-off than canceling Flash would have on taxes.
Maybe so, I guess. I don't know. I feel like the tax write-off was probably more than they made on it.
So Flash movies. It's on Max now. If you happen to still have Max for, I was amazed how many of my top 10 shows were on Max. But
yeah, me too. But it's not going to last.
I mean, yeah. Well, we'll see which ones are still there in a month.
Well, I mean, we're as far as the best of the year so far, we've only been living with Max, not HBO Max, for what, like a month or two.
Though I'm kind of glad they took the HBO name off of it because their app is starting to suck. Every time I pause Max too long, it rewinds me back like 10 or 15 minutes. It's fucking weird. So Flash on Max. Also watched Better Call Saul, which I'm into the final season, which I'd never seen. Previously, this has been a rewatch with Fanny.
Wow.
My second time watching through. But when I watched through season 5 on Netflix, it had just ended. And I jumped over to AMC and even subscribed. And I started to hit play and realized that the only episode they had was the actual finale. If I'd hit play on it, I'd have been so fucking mad.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was like, well, fuck you, AMC. And so I held off until Netflix dropped these episodes. Fanny started her rewatch. So we're 4 episodes in to the last season. So we've seen Nacho. We've seen what happens to Nacho. And are heading into them genuinely going into what I have to call Kim's plan.
Yeah.
But beyond that, like, yeah, no spoilers yet.
Man,
Holy fuck, it's dark. I was unprepared. I cried my eyes out.
Man,
I am excited to see what's coming up for you because, man,
I haven't watched it either, but I can only assume there's not a lot of Kim to be seen in Breaking Bad or like
the final.
She either bought a vacuum, went to jail, or died. So
the final season of Better Call Saul is a near perfect final season of TV.
It's holy fuck crazy so far.
Yeah,
loving it. So that's been great. Obviously, watched some 30 Rock, My Adventures with Superman, Harley Quinn. Keeping up on Minx, which
really good.
I really liked. Season 1 got better and better and better and was always fun, but was somewhat back and forth for me. Season 2's flawless. I fucking love it.
It's really
so
good. Yeah. Did you catch this week's episode? The college episode? I love that they're finally calling Joyce out on how fucking selfish
man, I had to pause
is.
it for Nick of like, you have to see the best line in the whole show so far, which is like, Joyce, you're not the fucking, you aren't the center of this.
This isn't about you for the first time in forever.
And like, I was promised the full Vassar experience, and I was like, holy shit. Also, Joyce finally, like, you're Bunny Eclair, whatever the fuck her, Bella LaRue.
And like, I'm like, how do you not know that?
Like, oh my god, the whole office is put it together. Like, you made your dentist husband an orthodontist, for God's sake.
Yeah, the only way you don't do that is if you don't pay attention to other people, which is what Joyce does.
Yep, it's so great to get fully called out. It's just wonderful.
But you know what else? I'm afraid the Doug Tina thing is going to break my heart.
Oh yeah, that hurt.
Because when she finds that ring, that is not the look of someone who's like, oh, he's going to propose. That is not a good look.
But once again, Bambi's the greatest thing on the fucking show. Her whole thing with Richie and like, like, well, I knew you'd be working on the weekends, and so I brought a brunch, and do you want a Bellini? And he like gulps it, and the immediate like, I thought you would say that. And like, what did you do? And like,
she's like,
they're
from
NASA. They're from NASA.
She's like, I thought maybe some drugs would help. He's like, I know they would. That's why I already took some.
Why I'm on drugs already. I took 2 uppers. And she's like, well, it's MD, I don't know. The letters aren't important, but
feels like they are.
You two both just took ecstasy without having any idea what it is.
Yep. And I love that she's like, give me 2 of whatever you took. So we're on the same trip together.
Thing, is for us to get on the same page. When they've got their makeup perfect and like she looks like a housewife or a fucking senator's wife or something, and he's in like drag kind of craziness, and then they just smoothly turn out of the room, and they are insane. Like his makeup's fucking crazy. And like drugs are fantastic. We should do more. Yes.
Genius.
Yeah, they just are amazing. I fucking love it. Also, the whole like, this is why we're family, not family, just friends that work together. Just work friends. It's this place is my home. It's not your home. It's a workplace. So yeah, Minx is going great. Nick and I watched the first third of a movie that we thought was going to be B-movie awfulness, and it was actually cool enough that when we kept having to stop it, I was like, that's it. We just have to stop and rewatch this. This is actually good. It's called Black Demon. It's about an oil rig that pisses off a possibly mythical shark. Another one that Nick threw on that I had not seen somehow, even though I've seen the poster for it, or the art for it, that I was shocked how fun was. The same guy that wrote and directed Maniac Cop and Maniac Cop 2, classics of the genre, obviously, also wrote and directed Uncle Sam, which is about a kid's uncle who is a vet and basically just liked killing and went off to the war. And like they're real clear that he was an asshole when he left. Like this didn't happen in the war. This isn't PTSD. He was already a psycho. They're very clear about it. And he comes back some kind of crazy zombie that puts on an Uncle Sam costume and kills a fuckload of people.
Because what day is it?
Obviously.
It is Independence Day. It's the. Have you ever wondered why aren't there more 4th of July horror films? Well,
it's weirdly not Memorial Day. But yeah, regardless, absolutely fucking nuts. Really fun movie.
I was like, Les, like, hey, I know you're not gonna believe me, so I'll just put this on. But
yeah, I'm just gonna hit play on it because there's no convincing you.
Because there's like, you won't believe the amount of PTSD and actual like messaging they do about.
Like characters kept having conversations where I was like, no, but what script did they start with that has this in it? That this feels actually was actually
deep conversations about heroics in wartime and what's the difference between a hero is just someone who's lucky enough to survive.
Oh yeah, war. That character played by Isaac Hayes in the year before he becomes chef.
He's as much as it's an Uncle Sam movie. He's a little Uncle Tom in it.
Half awake. And I think it's like literally they woke him up, and this is the year when he was like coming back to consciousness after like a Nosferatu type sleep before his chef career rebirth. Because yeah, he looks a little sleepy. Also watched Midsommar, which is fucking great and just gets funnier every time you watch it because those characters are so doomed. And just watching them be assholes and like fuck around and find out over and over. Like,
what is William Jackson Harper even doing there? You're black, you know what? Like, man, come on.
And Will Poulter, like, man, just walking around vaping like you're gonna survive this.
Man, I don't think they even show what happened. Like, he just exits the scene at one point in the movie and then just never comes back. Yep.
Well, I mean, part of him does. Somebody wears his skin at one point. They stuff it full of straw and burn him. That movie's fucking crazy. Yeah, absolutely nuts. Gets more entertaining almost every time I watch it. Crazy long, so I watch it at home. I'm really glad I did not see that in the theater. It probably would have affected my enjoyment of it. Then I, of course, kept up on Winning Time, which is kind of doing like where Minx, it was like all struggle the first season, and then this season, yeah, they've got problems, but they're the problems that arise from like exceeding any expectations they had. Winning Time, they set out at the first episode to win the title, and they do. No spoilers, it's basketball games, they're on record.
You know what's weird? Winning Time has been such a, like, this is one of those everybody's talked about it, critics have loved it. The fact that y'all enjoy it has finally made tip me into watching it, because I know you don't like basketball anymore.
Like, I don't, I don't give any fucks about the subject matter, but that I can be won over on that, depending on the structure of the show, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Bull Durham and The Natural and shit. I don't like baseball.
Honestly, and then the way it's shot and constructed, as far as the like,
I thought that was what was going to turn me off. Yeah. Really, and it doesn't. And it may be the subject matter, and it may be my age. Like it looks like basketball when I was a kid on TV. And I can't. It's weird how that makes this subject matter. It is a
very 70s like 80s type look.
But you also get, this show is the one that's going to give you scenes of John C. Reilly and Sally Field as his mom having like heartfelt conversations as she's dying and they're playing cards by an empty swimming pool at a house they've broken into to hang out at in the middle of the night. I mean, like, I'm watching this going, no one would believe me if you read this scene in like your audition somewhere and then told them it was out of like season 2, episode 3 of Winning Time or some shit, you know? It's just really powerhouse cast. Gabby Hoffman kills it. Claire from The Bear is a bit part. Yeah, really killer cast. The kid they've got for Magic is great. The kid they've got for Larry Bird is eerie.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it a look. I mean, I know less about basketball than any sport except for soccer.
I know absolutely fuck all about this. So I know they're combining characters, and like, if I was at a party and started mouthing off about like Lakers history, this show would get me into some trouble. I feel quite sure, in terms of like what I think happened now, just only knowing the show.
Yeah.
But man, I'm really shocked how fun the ups and downs in the storyline is. And even though season 1, they tear through it and they win that motherfucker, they then immediately lose. Like the next season they get knocked out. So like season 2 is actually a couple of seasons forward. They lose immediately, embarrassingly, and have to. So like season 2 is like their struggle rebuild. All their chemistry's wrong. So it's a different energy. It's kind of funny as Minx has gotten. They're my 270 shows, and as Minx has gotten like smooth sailing. How do we take over the world? And the Lakers are like, fuck. How do we win a ball game against who the shit are we even playing?
I love that the episode you showed me, Les, was Magic Johnson. They are writing him back in, like giving him a pay raise, even though it's debate on whether he lost them the season because he wasn't playing most of it, but he definitely didn't win them the season.
And bricks that last shot.
And
he loses them the last game that gets him kicked out in the first round of the playoffs. Yeah. And then it feels like they reward him with the biggest contract in sports. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild. And then of course, I don't know, all the machinations of like the league, the front office trying to keep the money going, all the coaches, Adrian
also,
Brody.
Magic Johnson Jason is Segel. Such a great charismatic character. You really like him until he interacts with a woman at all.
Yup.
And it's like
a little bit of a pig.
Oh, you're the worst.
Oh man. Yeah. And he can't be Batman, that's for damn sure. If this show is to be believed, Magic Johnson needs more pussy, then yeah.
A hero is allotted.
Oh wow. Yeah. Also watched finished out on Justified. I threw on Drumline, which I don't think I've seen in 15 years probably. With Nick Cannon and Orlando Jones, 7-Up dude.
Orlando Jones, yeah.
Man, that movie's just, it's like Bring It On or something. Like there's a formula to those, and if you follow them, they're just always going to be a fairly, like, it's like riding a very standard roller coaster. Like, oh yeah, that went exactly where I thought it was going to go for 90 minutes. There we are. Your ego's too big, kid. You've got to learn a lesson. Oh, but the team also needs to learn to loosen up. Will you both? Turns out you did.
The scene I watched was weirdly forced, as far as they were talking about, the notes will be hard, but not as hard as the formations. You're gonna like blood, sweat, and tears for this. What's basically them playing in the middle of a football game. Like I know it's more, and they do competitions like Bring It On or whatever, but it is really
so at least a couple looking over me going, where's the pro after this? Like, there's nothing after this.
This is just marching band. Like they will never take these skills to anywhere else.
No, there's nowhere else this goes. Yeah.
And but also he gets like, let's get crunk, is what he says, I think. And I was like, oh, that is so hurtfully 2000s.
Also, at one point, Nick Cannon makes a brag that he doesn't have a mess of kids, which is hilarious.
Oh no.
It's like, if there's one thing Nick Cannon currently does have, it's a lot of kids.
Early Nick Cannon throwing shade at old.
Oh
Nick
yeah,
Cannon.
Man, teen Nick Cannon throwing shade that he should not. Yeah. So also I'm into the last season of Elementary, which is still Elementary.
Yep.
Got Nick, because of his cop watching. I guess the Algorithm Society likes procedurals. We got into a discussion of how shows dodge. Well, I mean, obviously, beat cops can be terrible, but like not in our department, like our district.
Yeah.
You know, the 9-9's great, and obviously detectives are great. We're just gonna ignore the fact that all detectives were beat cops. Yeah, like how shows kind of skirt around this and how they deal with it, and whether, you know, does your show outright call IA rats every single fucking time, or
Yeah.
you know, like how do you handle it? Elementary basically has them be police consultants, and so they only deal with the couple of people that they deal with in the show, and they're great. And anytime they deal with another cop, it's almost always to make an example of like, well, that cop's terrible.
Mhm.
But it's never one of your main characters. It's always like, oh yeah,
Well,
no,
it
I've heard
fulfills
about
the bad
cops.
the bad apple argument of
Yeah.
that it's not systemic problems. There's just certain individuals rather
Like it
than
always feels
any-
like oh yeah, I've heard about how some cops can be bad. None of these cops behind me right now, obviously. Like, well, clearly not. So also watched After Party, which we'll discuss, and then Only Murders, which I'm with you, Randy. I'm loving, but they definitely, I don't know that they could do a 4th season. Eventually, it's always either going to be the new character or you're going to start getting really weird and cannibalizing it. Like this thing's kind of running out of people in the building.
I don't know who the murderer is going to be. I actually would have guessed it was going to be either Andrea Martin or Meryl Streep, but it looks like maybe it's not. And so now I'm like, I don't know who killed him. Unless Charles blacked out, went to the White Room and killed him, which would be a great twist.
I honestly, yeah, I think it's hilarious. It's same as in the After Party. It would be hilarious if he does turn out to have killed himself or something. I think it would be hilarious if Paul Rudd just died. And it's not, or if Charles really did kill him in the White Room, that would be hilarious. I love finding out slowly in this episode that all of them saw him right before, and all of them got in a fight with him, and all of them called him something, you know, and like, well, somebody hit him in the face and left a mark on his. Oh yeah, that actually was me. But I interrupted him arguing with you. Yeah, we were arguing. I did call him a fucking pig.
Yeah, yep.
Maybe we
also
altered.
the Martin Short Tooth thing. Holy fuck, that was great.
Yeah, that was great.
And the whole like, wait, is that joint purple? Wow.
Yeah,
I think I rolled that joint at Grace Jones' 30th birthday party in Studio 54. I was at that party. That was all just nuts. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm not trying to. It's the kind of murder mystery where I'm not even trying to guess, because I don't think it's that kind of murder mystery.
Right. Yeah.
Like just wait to find out and be surprised. Like it's more like watching a soap opera. Like it really wouldn't. I wouldn't be mad at it, and it wouldn't completely surprise me if they popped out a character at the end of the show and went, "This is the extra twin brother we never told you about."
Right. Yeah.
And he did it, and I'd be like, "Fuck it, cool, whatever."
Yep.
Baller. Like at least you went for it. And I think that's it for me. Nick, what else did
well, I forgot to mention the last thing I watched last week before we actually recorded was I finished off The Irishman, which was funny.
You were watching that for like a week and a half.
Ooh, well, that's how long it takes to watch it.
I started watching Goodfellas, and then when Les went to bed, and when I woke up, I was watching Irishman. Or when he woke up, he was watching Irishman, and he was like, "Motherfucker, you still watching Goodfellas? How long is that movie?"
Man, I like it better if the idea of you woke up and you were watching The Irishman. You're like I was
this
the credits
weird
were
Rip Van Winkle thing. Yeah,
Goodfellas started rolling, and I woke up and The Irishman was playing.
It's like a Boyhood 21 Up kind of thing. Like Scorsese just started filming in 1981 and let the cameras roll.
Yeah.
I found out I have a Les line. So when Les is like 90 minutes and then I'm marking every 10 minutes as like a demerit against your movie, that's Les's line. Yeah. I thought like that's, all stories they expand. Like I also am from the time of 90-minute movies, and I appreciate when they're shorter. But it depends on what they're trying to say in the story structure. You can go to 2 hours. Sure. And apparently I have a Les line that is 2 hours and 10 minutes. Or 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 02 seconds. Because that's when I stopped The Irishman and realized that I had an hour left. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. No, I don't know if that's strictly a Les line, because Les for the most part, it doesn't matter what the movie is. It's the time limit. That's specifically to The Irishman. So The Irishman, once you get 2 hours in, you're like, why am I still watching this?
Are they still driving there?
I had the same line for Justice League when I was 2 hours in of like, Jesus Christ, how long is this thing?
Okay, but maybe for good movies there should be a different line. I'm just saying The Irishman is borderline unwatchable.
Well, and
It retroactively made me like Martin Scorsese less.
they're gonna do a full wide release now of Killers of the Flower Moon, which is 3.5.
Jesus,
Also,
I'm done.
Scorsese has such a problem with women.
Yeah,
Through no better example than Anna Paquin is in that movie and has I guarantee you one line of dialogue. And it's not like she isn't in the movie. She is Robert De Niro's daughter and is in
Yeah.
many scenes
right.
as background and doesn't
Yeah.
say a thing. And the dialogue is, "Why, Dad?"
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing about her or her character or what it affects her. Like, her arc is how she is treated. Like, oh, she's untrustful of Daddy's friends or whatever. And it's all narrated to us by Robert De Niro. That is how Martin Scorsese can get through a character development, by having two dudes talk about it.
Yeah.
Hey, but at least you do get to see De Niro break the fourth wall for no reason.
Holy shit! He looked right at the camera at some point, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
It happens. Yep. It's one shot in one of his discussions with Pesci, and
I think it's just a mistake.
And like in one angle that Scorsese keeps going to, De Niro is looking dead at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And it is.
All I know is that it freaked me out.
Nick was like, "That's an error. Like that feels like a movie error. like except that actor is Robert De Niro and the director is Martin Scorsese. Mm-hmm. So I've never seen either one of them fuck that up like that.
You're like, is that character looking at me? Like,
yeah,
it felt like Robert. Like, wait, why is he angry at me now? I didn't do anything, except for continue to watch this piece of shit. And yeah, oh my god, like every time I'd stop that movie the last hour, and I was like, it felt like a time dilation of like, what do you mean there's 30 minutes left? No, I watched the hour. Okay, well now it's almost. What do you mean there's 20 minutes left?
Yeah, it's awful. It's real bad.
And also the CGI they do is so much money for them to not have Robert De Niro cannot walk like a young person.
No, oh man.
He hunches his shoulders and he walks like an old man. Like,
yeah.
There's nothing you can really do about that.
Nope.
No, he's kind of got a Frankenstein shuffle to it. And it's heightened by the lack of, I think the Benjamin Buttonness is weird.
Yeah, it is. It's odd.
Odd movie. Like, yeah. And then, yeah, like I said, I was watching a lot of procedurals. Facebook, if you go into a Facebook thing and if you watch enough dog videos, I guess, like, that's what I've been usually watching. But if you skip past and go through some videos, they'll just start showing you shit. And all they're really showing me are like full episodes on 1.1 speed of Chicago PD, Law and Order SVU, like specifically SVU, Blue Bloods, and The Rookie.
Nick, I'm a little bit afraid that in a few weeks here, you're going to show up at TV Diaries and be like, have you guys really thought about how the cops are under assault lately? And I'm like, God damn it, Nick, you got to stop. You got to stop watching it.
Here's the interesting thing, Ray, is I might already be succumbing to like some sort of problem, because I swear to God, watching all of these episodes of all of these, well, I mean, skipping around and like they're already on fast forward. And I fast forward through some. I'm not going to watch all of an episode of Blue Bloods, okay? But I'll skip to the important parts. And honestly, Law and Order comes off as the most progressive of all these shows.
That's not good.
It's not good.
That is not good at all.
It's very not good. Like, the original propaganda show comes off, because at least they deal with shit like
right.
Hey, we did this arrest by the book, and then the DA will go, "You mean the book that got us in this predicament with everyone hating us? Maybe do things by a new book." Like, and I was like, shit. Like, no. I mean, they don't really offer up a real solution, but acknowledging the problem is more than any of these other shows
it's a start. Yeah.
do.
Like, it's better than Shut Up, Rat.
And that was that, like last week, I was telling Les about the episode of Blue Bloods, and that was the fucking moral of it, was shut up, you fucking rat. Like,
yeah.
Making it hard on these cops here. Fine, Tom Selleck.
They had I watched another one that was kind of had a more interesting message about a guy profiting from real estate deals, because he bought buildings after because he's a narcotics officer. He would raid a location and then knew that because they raided that crack den, the property value of that neighborhood would go up, so he bought the crack den.
Oh, wow.
So, and
Okay.
he's making money off of these busts, and even Blue Bloods and Tom Selleck have to go, okay, whoa. And he's like, what? It's all of this is legal. Now, if I had bought the property and then done the drug raid, that would be illegal. But I didn't do that. I waited until I was in the car on the way home from the drug raid and then bought it.
Oh, yeah.
And even Tom Selleck's like, no. That's not, no, that we gotta stop this here. We're really on a slippery slope of officers profiting off the misery and arrests of black people.
Yeah, I think if I say that's illegal and you have to say not technically,
we're already in not great territory, right?
Yeah, things aren't good. Yeah.
Chicago PD also had an interesting one where they had an undercover cop be stopped by a beat cop that basically called him boy. And
Jesus.
When another kid gets shot in that exchange, they're about to leave it on the blame on the undercover cop because he didn't drop cover in the middle of his operation and tell the beat cops that he was a cop in order to diffuse the situation so those two cops wouldn't shoot the dude he was investigating.
Oh man.
And I loved that everyone on the team was like, what the fuck? Do you mean it's on the undercover cop's job is now to protect every black person he ever has interacts with to keep the beat cops from doing a bad job?
It's like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine when Terry gets profiled and the guy's like, oh yeah, man, I'm really sorry. I would have never treated you like that if I'd known you were a cop.
They knew you were a cop. They're like,
no,
that's really not how it works. Yeah. Well, also, just from the practicality, it's Chicago, and I'm a black undercover cop. I'm going to get pulled over by cops undercover. That just statistically that's gonna happen. I can't do this every time.
Blow the case every time. Yeah.
I can't fucking if I have to identify myself as like undercover every time I'm pulled over, then I can't. I would wish they would have said that of like I can't be undercover then.
Look, guys, it's either stop randomly shooting them once you pulled them over, or stop profiling them when you pull them over. But you're gonna have to stop one of the two.
But either way, this is not on me. This is not my job.
Yeah, this is
but either way, this is definitely not on the black undercover cop.
But yeah, I was talking with Les and saying that these Facebook ads, these Facebook videos are instilling in me a thing I'm missing from cable watching, which I would like, you know what? I didn't used to think I was a huge fan of procedurals, but they are comfort food TV.
Yeah.
And you don't always intentionally go looking for comfort food TV, but when one pops up, and like when you would used to channel flip and then you'd be like, oh, what is this episode of SVU? And you'd stick around for the end of it because you get caught up in the rhythm of it.
Yeah, like I don't think anybody meant to watch The Closer. I think it just happened. It's good. It's fine.
It's good. And people enjoyed they watch it, but
TV.
Intentionally going out to watch it, maybe not. But I think that there's a interesting psychological effect of like I didn't think I was into police procedurals like I was, but they have a weird pattern effect. Propaganda aside, which is a pretty big thing to put to the side, admittedly.
Yep.
But story-wise, it's like, I do get caught up on who did it and why and like what exactly, like how are they going to get this guy, even though it's obviously the most famous guest star in the thing.
Yeah, there's a pattern to it. There's a reason they're so successful. Yeah.
And comforter.
Yeah. Which the fact that we call that level of show comfort food TV when it usually has brand
SVU especially, man.
Yeah, well, I think that's not. Yeah.
Also, when I'm
let me watch some horrible crime.
I shouldn't say that Law and Order is the most progressive. Maybe it's SVU that's the most progressive because they are indeed dealing with sex crimes and assaults on trans people and stuff like that. That maybe that's why it comes off as more progressive. Maybe I haven't watched a lot of the other Law and Orders, Criminal Intent and all that other shit. Maybe it's still as propaganda as I remember it. Also, we watched some of the season 2 of Young Justice to watch the Blue Beetle in that.
Yeah, which is great.
And man, I'm really glad that season 2 of Young Justice held up because watching season 4, I was like, you get that idea of like, I don't know if I was ever gonna be in the mood to rewatch Young Justice again.
Yeah.
Because I was, like, afraid that you get that in your mind, like, "Oh, maybe the show was never that maybe I'm not maybe
No,
nothing changed."
I never finished it because it felt like a different show.
No, it is, and watching season 2 solidifies that for me of like, nope, these guys had a better idea of what was going on and going forward,
Yeah.
and took advantage of the time jump basically for the last time that the time jump was gonna be part of, like honestly, it's kinda like the island in Arrow.
Yep.
That was an interesting storytelling device to do once for 1 season, maybe
Yeah.
2, but you gotta like, for Young Justice that they time jump after the every season and have to catch you up on the next one is like, maybe stop doing that.
Yeah.
Let these characters and then shit develop and breathe naturally, so I don't feel like I have to catch up every fucking season. Also watch Batman Brave and the Bold, a couple of the Blue Beetle episodes, as well as just some of the regular episodes, which are very fun. Uh, honestly, watching Batman Brave and the Bold, I think when I first started to watch that, I was like, "This is cute," but it was pretty close after Batman the Animated Series and The Batman, and I was like, you know, I wasn't in the mood for maybe that particular set of the DC universe. And then the Snyderverse happened, and now going back and watching them, I'm like, "Actually, you know what? Yeah, I much rather prefer this universe than a Snyderverse." Gorilla Grodd is like, "Hey, oh no, Gorilla Grodd is, riding in on pterodactyls and, uh,
Yeah,
changing people into gorillas
it's
with
not the
Gorilla's
Harley
race."
Quinn send up of everything D-list. It's just
Right.
a full embrace of everything weird that ever happened in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
just don't flinch away from it. Like sure,
say
Batman and Plastic Man are gonna fight dinosaurs, and sure, Batman is gonna catch a Zeta beam to go help Adam Strange on Ran and take Aquaman along because he's sad, and they're gonna fight in space. uh, why? Like it happened in a DC comic somewhere, and like there's just no. Well, maybe we should make that look cooler for modern. Nope. Go with it.
Well, they also the Green Lantern episode, they have to depend on Nort to save the universe.
Guy Gardner and Nort.
Hell yeah.
Just a reminder, you can support us by going over to patreon.com/TVD, throw us a buck an episode. In exchange, we get to keep up with our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, we're going to talk about the movie Joyride. Well, y'all, we went about an hour and a half on talking
We
about
were
our
crazy
TV
long on
diaries.
diaries. It's been a minute.
So we're gonna real quick just burn through our top 10.
Sounds good.
Just like I was like, in my mind, this episode was going to be us talking about our shows and where things were this year. We've talked about all these shows. You can go back and listen to the episodes. We're just going to burn through this and get right to dessert because we spent a lot of time on TV
Yeah,
diaries.
I honestly I didn't even think about it, but as soon as we got into the diaries, I was like, oh yeah, I haven't, because of me lying about your anime watching, I have no idea what you've actually been watching the last couple of weeks for you. Yeah.
All right, so let's run down our top 10s. I'm just gonna run mine down,
Okay.
Go
and
for
then
it.
you guys do the same. Top of my list is Ted Lasso.
Wait, are you
you
starting
can-
at 10 or at 1?
You're right. I should start at 10. I gave away something. All right, starting at 10.
I would have
Uh,
never guessed it.
We've got Party Down at Stars, which was a near perfect comeback.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that was my number 11 that I had to delete.
Number 9 is After Party. Even though I haven't
Mhm.
seen the finale of it, I know quite well it's gonna land there. Number 8 is My Adventures with Superman. That thing jumped up quite a bit for me in the past few weeks. That is easily in my top 10. Number 7 is Last of Us. That was earlier in the year, but it was really, really good, and it stayed.
Yeah.
Number six is Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, which started off a little weak for me, but really grew, and that musical episode alone keeps it almost in the top 5. Um, Number 5 is Shrinking, which I really, really loved, and I'm looking forward to more. Number 4 is Poker Face. Number 3 is the final season of Barry. Number 2 is the second season of The Bear. And number 1 is Ted Lasso, which, man, imagine how much I would have liked if it had been good.
I know. It's a real shame. Real shame.
What about y'all? Nick, what's your top 10?
Well, I didn't put anything on there that I haven't finished, so After Party is not on there. Just to
Okay, all right.
try and be fair and to give other things a spot in there.
That's fair. That's fair.
Although there is one exception, and that is my number 2. But 10 is Justified City Primeval.
Interesting.
For the same reason Party Down is your 10, I think, is that I really, like, as far as this last episode really, like, we'll talk about it in the dessert, but it really cemented down what I liked about Justified and what it really cemented down what this whole season was doing. And I was like, yeah, I'm really in the tank for, if they want to do more Justified, I'm kind of down for it.
Interesting. Yeah, it did not rank quite as high for me.
Number 9, What We Do in the Shadows, also not finished yet, but is as good as it's always been. Or, well, and that's not quite true. I think that there's a little bit of a lack of focus as far as general things, so we're back to a little bit more of a status quo, but still very good. 8, Party Down. I think Party Down was also, like, I again had not watched the first 2 seasons of Party Down. Is there?
Yeah.
For 2 seasons.
2 seasons. 2 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 2.
Had not watched a single episode or a minute of Party Down before I watched the comeback, this rewatch. And I thought it was hilarious. I thought it really worked even without any prior context.
That's interesting.
Which I thought made it stand out amongst all comebacks of, like, making me want to go back and watch the first season, which I have now, at least a couple episodes.
Yeah.
Number 7, Florida Man. God, this is
really
a show I forgot about, but I found myself rewatching it, like, a couple episodes, not all at once, but
wow.
God,
I watched it twice, but I didn't like it as much as you did.
The concept of Florida Man, I love. Like, I think it's to the point of what I like about Killing It, of just setting a story in Florida of just, hey, what happened to your detailed and well thought out criminal plan? Florida, man.
Wow, man, that did not even make that I didn't finish that one.
No, you didn't like Florida Man. I don't think Les liked Florida Man as much as I did. But
wow, okay.
But I really quite enjoyed it. And I think the main actor, what is his name? Fuck.
Nobody. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But I think he deserves a shot at doing more stuff. Like anything that Javier Bardem said no to, give this guy a shot. Come on.
Pedro Pascal can't be everywhere.
He can't be everywhere. Come on, give him a chance. Speaking of Pedro Pascal, Last of Us is my number 5. I think that was a great adaptation of that story, and in some ways did better than its source material, especially in the. I think what cemented for me was the Bill episode, the Bill and his husband. I think it was great. 4, Poker Face. God. Wow. If we can't have a Knives Out movie every year, then let's get Poker Face every year. I really. Speaking of my love of procedurals, it's not quite a procedural, we're saying.
It's similar though, because it's episodic.
It's episodic and it follows a formula. It's similar enough to where it really scratches that itch, but feels prestige and a lot of work and talent. Like, the fucking guest stars and actors, great stuff. Muppet Mayhem is my number 3. I don't feel like I don't have to justify that at all. Fucking Muppet Mayhem rules. Muppet Mayhem is maybe the best sans the first Muppet movie that the Muppets have ever been portrayed. And I'm including all the Muppets. Like, Electric Mayhem is my new gold standard for what Muppets properties should be. And then number 2, and this would not have been in the number 2 had it not been for this week's episode, but My Adventures with Superman, which is, this episode gave me chills. I absolutely love this universe. Feel like it is a great introduction for kids if they're looking for a new introduction to Superman. And then, of course, number 1 is Ted Lasso.
I was deeply afraid for part of your rank that my number 2 was going to be the title of an anime that you were really in love with about a sentient poop.
Oh, I can't even tell you what anime came out this year, especially since I'm behind on My Hero Academia. But
I'm kind of surprised The Bear didn't make your top 10 cut.
Never finished it.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, I finished the episodes, like the final, but I never went back and watched the full one. I watched 3 episodes that Les had me watch, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, we were coming short on time, so I made sure he saw the family episode.
It's one of the, I don't know. It's one of those things of like, no, I objectively see how good of a show it is, and yet
doesn't connect.
I never find myself with a desire to go back and finish it. I don't know.
I get that. Les, what about you? What's your top 10?
All right, so my number 10, several shows that y'all ranked that I've never watched. Last of Us, Barry. I like naming them like, oh yeah, those happened this year. That's right. Yeah. Coming from the other side of that, my number 10 is From season 2. Fucking loved it. I love that first season. The second season's crazy. I'm so glad that they seem to have a green light for season 3, though that means nothing in the modern world. It almost made my
list.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, From is just bug shit crazy.
It only didn't make my list less because this season felt like it might be treading water just a little bit.
Yeah. Even with the bus people, it was back into some of the same problems again. But I can't wait to see season 3 in terms of like something that dropped and was a holy fuck, I want to watch that. Loved it. Harley Quinn over on Max was my number 9.
Okay. Yep.
Should have ever been good. The fact that it's still good is astonishing. Despite not being done, my number 8 would be My Adventures with Superman, which is again just the opposite of Harley Quinn, but holy shit, good, hard on its sleeve, just beautifully done. Cannot wait to see how it finishes out. Number 7, The After Party, which isn't, has one more to go, but literally the found footage episode is the single worst thing they've ever done, and it's like an 8 out of 10 episode.
Yeah. Yep.
And so yeah, fucking fantastic. Love it. I love all the additions to the cast. Everybody's great. Number 8, Muppet Mayhem.
Wow, y'all really like Muppet Mayhem.
Yeah, fucking perfect. Loved it.
You should too, Randy.
Everybody should.
I did. I love Muppet Mayhem.
That's right.
So the fact that you didn't already love Muppets and you loved it, if you already loved Muppets, it's going to be in the middle of your 10.
Can you imagine what me must have felt like?
Number 7, Poker Face. Fuck, I love that show. It's so good. There's a couple of moments, like the Tim Meadows episode I really enjoyed, but it felt a little hokey at points for me. Like, it never took me out of the enjoyment of it, but it made it not feel as dead serious as some of the other episodes. That said, every single episode was super fun.
That was kind of like, didn't we do two
Didn't we already do this
twice?
already? Yeah. So it's, not flawless, but so much better than almost anything else. And again, if I can't have a Knives Out, if I can't have a new Benoit Blanc mystery, then yeah, give me all the Poker Face we can. Number 6, Minx. I kind of count season 1 and 2 together. They all kind of run together for me. Season 2 is not done, but this is one of the shows that I am waiting for Friday to get to watch every time.
It's funny, you like that more than I do at this point.
Like, I've turned into this huge Minx fan. It's just candy. Like, it is just like every Friday is like this just weird 70s like train wreck of the porn industry, and like watching Bambi float through and say just crazy shit of like, if I need a mentor in business and I need it to be the smartest man I ever knew, and Colonel Tom is busy right now with Elvis, and so it's you. And like, wait, what? Yeah, I love that show. Number 5 would be number 3, Ted Lasso. Holy fuck!
Ooh,
imagine if it had been good.
Okay.
Yeah. I really loved this third season. I thought the show wrapped up it fucking beautifully. And honestly, ranking any of these in the 10, by the time I took the 100-something shows we've all watched this year so far down to 10, like all of these feel like they're the same rank. I mean, these are all like the number 1. I went through my whole list and I marked everything that could possibly be argued as number 1 and ended up with like 25 things, and then started numbering those. So yeah, all of these are toss-up from week to week. My number 2 show, I think, is benefiting from being on right now because it is the, like, oh, this week's been a grind. Is my show on? Winning Time comes on every Sunday, and I'm fucking loving it week to week.
Wow, more than Ted Lasso? That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know that it's
really
going to be
a
a better show, but it is super fun every single week.
Okay.
And then my number 1 show of the year is The Bear. I think it's the best thing that got put on television this year.
Man, The Bear is really good. Yeah.
Both from laughing and crying, Molly Gordon might be my current like new favorite actress. When I see her and stuff, I'm gonna try and go see Theater Camp this week just because she's in it. Yeah, fuck, The Bear was just absolutely great.
I mean, if we were just ranking straight up episodes of this year, then that Thanksgiving episode or whatever, the flashback.
It's one of the best.
Right.
It's probably the best episode of TV this year.
It's
yeah,
double
yeah.
long from the other episodes, and it just it's just its own special thing. Yeah, fucking crazy.
I do want to say, I'm not going to run through everything, but it made me a little sad that I couldn't quite justify putting Mrs. Davis in the top 10 just to irritate both of you.
I honestly, we had a discussion earlier of like, you know,
Holy
goddamn
fuck.
well that Randy's going to have Mrs. Davis in his top 10.
It was in my top 10 for quite a while. It's in my top 20. I really, really enjoyed it.
Me and
the
Les
other
read
one
a
that
synopsis of what happens on Mrs. Davis, and we were like, "This is the fucking dumbest shit."
I love Mrs. Davis, and I was pretty happy it came to an ending.
Me too.
And the other thing I would have loved to come up there is Primo.
Oh yeah,
Primo is great TV.
Primo
God,
barely missed my 10. It was in my top 20.
Yeah.
I know.
It's really good though.
Yeah, I think it's just inside my top 20.
And I keep seeing the other uncles turn up and shit. Rewatching Saul.
Yeah.
One of the Salamanca's lieutenants that has
the
to
hippie uncle.
Yeah, as the hippie uncle, he has to give money
Yeah.
to Nacho to be counted or Tuco to be counted.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing the oh shit, it wasn't on my list, but I watched because it's pretty forgettable. But I watched Vacation Friends 2 over on Hulu because I fucking loved Vacation Friends, and Vacation Friends 2 is the Vegas vacation of the series. But the bank teller uncle, I'm sorry, account manager uncle,
Sure.
Yeah.
that's watching Wolf of Wall Street at 7 a.m.
That went to technical college and is way too proud of it.
Right. No, he got a certificate in computers. He is in. I totally had missed when I saw Vacation Friends that he's like the concierge at the hotel during the first movie. So he's not a huge part of the movie, but he's in there for a couple of great scenes. And they bring him back in the second movie, basically as like a nanny with them, which is insane. But just like watching it now and like, oh shit, you're you.
He's now our nanny.
Yes.
That feels like some
it's that
sitcom
dude's
bullshit.
crazy weird energy, like he's trying to be suave and charming, but he's holding a baby. And it's just fucking nuts. Yeah. Also Steve Buscemi is in Vacation Friends too, which is just odd.
Okay.
But yeah, I would Primo is fucking fantastic. People should watch it.
Yeah.
Freebie.
And we'll have our full rundown end of the year as always.
Yeah, these might switch up.
All right. Let's jump over and have our dessert. Let's start with what? Batman vs Superman? Start with that?
Yes. Sounds like you
All
weren't
right.
as impressed with the penultimate.
Oh no, I loved it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Yeah, no,
I love that we guessed right and wrong on kind of what was going on.
Y'all have been predicting all along that Sam Lane makes perfect sense.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought the way they were teeing it up, I'd come around to thinking you guys were right. It was probably going to be General Lane. But I thought because of the way they were showing Lois with that glowing orb, that we were going to get a thing where basically her General Dad like came to Daily Planet, and like maybe Clark had met him, but she had, and he knew who he was, and there was going to be some awkwardness, and he was going to have to explain to her, basically like, hey, Superman's dangerous, and she would be like, well, maybe he is. And instead, no, they skipped all that. Instead, Lane realizes, oh no, this guy's actually not a bad guy, and Waller's the bad guy.
Well, I mean, I love his interrogation, and it's all emotional, and then fucking Superman breaks down because man, they really take advantage of this version of the origin of him not knowing where he's from to really drive home an emotional. When he realizes he's a weapon,
he's like, oh shit.
He's
really like, was I sent here to invade this place?
Yeah, like it hurts. It hurts his soul. Like, he's fucking Clark Kent first. He's fucking Kansas bred good old boy.
And it's a big change. The thing is, like, as much as this show is about a sort of a classic Superman, it is a very classic Superman.
Yes,
they're tweaking some big things. I don't know that we've ever seen, even maybe even Smallville, a Superman who doesn't have any idea what Krypton is or what it's like or why he's here.
Yeah, like and not even because he's afraid of the ship he came, like because Kryptonian technology is scary, and in this episode we saw why. It's all the Kryptonian technology he's seen and they've seen is an invasion force. It's weaponry.
Well, and I guess the question is, and we're not gonna, I don't know if we're gonna get the answer this season, is like, is this Krypton?
Yeah.
Are they doing a more warlike Krypton, or is this like General Zod's force?
Well, because I was gonna say, me and Les had a huge conversation after this episode aired of like, is that General Zod leading the
And
army,
not his
or
father?
is it Jor-El? Like, and
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what it looks like is that during the invasion force, they look to the side and there's a bright light, and the invasion is. I was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
Is Krypton's explosion tied in with the? Is he the
Right.
last
Is that what
Kryptonian?
cut? Yeah.
Right.
Is
Are
that
they
what
preparing-
cut?
Are they preparing for an invasion that is not coming?
Because
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
realize that the invading force's home planet blew up during the
Yeah,
And then that's the thing is, are they doing something where basically Krypton was trying to invade Earth because they knew their planet was dying?
right.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, and that
I
was
also
the last
like
ditch
the fact
effort.
that,
And
like,
it
the
keeps putting-
Kryptonians all wearing suits. I don't think they know the.
I don't
Yellow
think
Sun.
they know. I don't think they know
No.
the yellow sun gives them powers because they send
Right.
in the drones.
yeah. And also, by the way, also, yeah, there's also a possibility. It may not be the destruction of Krypton. It could be a civil war.
Mhm.
Oh,
It could be that Jor-El
yes.
stopped the invasion.
that
Or
Jor-El.
Daxamites, or yeah.
Or so-
that,
yeah.
and it's just yes, because I mean that's how even though the Zack Snyder movie starts as General Zod versus the Council or whatever in a military
Right.
coup.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
But yeah, I like that if that's how it is. That like you said, Randy, this is a classic version of Superman, but it's a different way to get there. Of that's how he's the
Yeah.
last Kryptonian of an invasion that
Mhm.
didn't go through.
Right.
Like that's cool.
And then Parasite goes full kaiju.
Yes.
Now that
And that was just cool.
that's pretty
And that
cool.
heart punch out. Holy fuck.
And Clark uses his X-ray vision for the first time. The way they're doing him when he gets his powers, the first time we see him fly, first time we see him use heat
Yes,
vision.
it's
Like, I love that we're seeing him discover his powers.
Mhm.
yes, it's he's
And they're
discovering
leaning into that
how-
electrical vibe each time.
and
Yeah.
what his powers can activate and entail. I feel like his powers are activating one at a time, so he doesn't get sensory overload, like some sort
Right.
of a survival tactic. But
Right.
Training
also, I
wheels
love the
mode.
fact that this is a universe where people can't quite trust Superman. Like he's different, and it's a big question of whether or not to trust him. And the crux of this episode is that when a big monster attacks, they have to take it on faith and turn off the lights and go
Yeah.
in the darkness and
Mhm.
let their beacon of hope fight for them. And
That was so cool.
it is
Yeah.
the most on the nose metaphor, and yet I had tears in my eyes of like everyone putting their faith into, and he can hear it with the super hearing of
Yeah.
like, he's gonna save us, Dad. He's like, don't worry, everything's gonna be all right. And him hearing and visually seeing
Yeah.
the city putting their trust in him, because he's destroyed this episode of
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
he thinks he's a weapon, and it's
But it's not
so
the
good.
And I thought it was about to be the moment, because I've all the Snyderverse stuff. I thought it was about to be the moment where he found Ivo and heat vision, like just punched out the center. And then when I realized he X-ray saw where Ivo was and flew through and grabbed him in a catch.
Yep.
And was like, motherfucker, you got the city to turn the lights off so that you could save Ivo.
Yeah.
Not kill a monster.
By the way, I forgot to mention in my TV diaries, I watched the Injustice movie because I have a huge fondness for the Injustice comics.
Oh, okay.
I definitely don't love them as much as y'all are enjoying these way more than me. I don't like most of the DC's direct animated things, but it is interesting to see.
I like them before pre-52.
It's interesting to see that take on Superman, especially this take on Superman.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's room to do a Superman could be evil, but that ultimately Superman is a force for good. And I think that this is just really, really excellent. I guess there's one more episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
But
I
we
think
need
going to
the
be him
fallout.
going back to the ship and seeing where he's from.
We need the
Yeah.
fallout from the orb and the kryptonite and the ship from where he's from. We'll have to translate that final. I'm really interested in whether Jor-El is Jor-El part of the invasion force? Is he the general, or is he a helpful figure? Like, I think it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting either way, but
Yeah.
uh
It's fascinating that this is such a well-trod territory of Superman that they can still give us surprises.
but also I love
Yeah.
the difference between Lane and Waller as far as when he sees Superman break down, he sees an honest reaction and does the math in his
Yeah.
head. The invasion was this many years ago. this guy would have been a baby.
He was a baby. Yeah.
Like, there's no way he was involved. Like, we're asking him about questions he couldn't possibly know the answers to.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Waller just straight doesn't care.
Waller's
Yeah,
like,
we might as well ask my kid
he-
about it.
He can.
Yeah.
Well,
She's
Waller's
like-
like, he can answer a pretty good question for us: how to kill Kryptonians.
Yeah. Yeah, because she's like, they killed all our friends. Like, I don't give a shit.
No, she's gonna
Yeah.
Soldier Boy him. Yeah.
I could have
Yeah.
one scene with Waller go where like all the Suicide Squad like basically ditch out the Task Force X and be like, ah, shit. Well, next time I'm thinking something more intentional in the collars, maybe an explosive device.
Yeah. I will say one of my issues, I love Suicide Squad in the 80s. I loved Amanda Waller. She's a great character. I am more than a little bit annoyed that, and I blame Zack Snyder for this, but he's not the only one, that they have turned her into a straight up villain. It's a less interesting version of Waller.
When they cannot let her go, like they are determined to include her in every iteration now.
And every time she shows up, she gets more and more just straight up villainous, and it bothers me.
It's one of those things that when things switch over to another medium, suddenly like Barry Allen in the comics, I'll never see him on live screen because they've always taken from Wally West shit.
Right. Yeah.
The Barry Allen
Yeah.
everyone else knows from live action shit is like, well, that's
Wally West.
That's
yeah.
Wally West to me. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, like, but
Yeah, it's the one bummer, and it is a thing of like it's not this show's fault. That's just what they got stuck with. But I would have loved her not to be just a flat out villain, and that's kind of a bummer for me.
yeah. I mean, I haven't read that much Suicide Squad comics, so I really only know her as a foil, as an adversary.
Yeah.
Is to
Yeah,
other people's
she's
comics.
she is way more interesting than that. She was one of the best characters in comics, and they have lost all the shades of it, which is too bad. All right, let's jump and talk about the other DC show, and let's talk about Harley Quinn, which this week goes Back to the Future.
Hell yeah! Now, this is as far as going to the future and not reveling in the, oh my god, it's a apocalypse. How do we thwart this? No, Ivy and Harley are just so proud of their daughter. Of like, oh, our daughter's the leader of the resistance. Like that.
Yeah.
That's their takeaway from this future adventure. Of, oh man, our daughter is boss girl in this whole apocalypse, man.
Oh god, but it all gets so fucking like
Yep.
Robin running the whole thing as like a weird dude in the too small suit.
See, and again, for me, this show is great because I feel like had they done that to another Robin, I might have been mad or taken it personally. But you all know I hate Damian. Fucking hate Damian Wayne, and to see him like this little douche, I was like, aha, yeah, that's what he would be like, that little fucking douchebag.
And one of King Shark's babies.
Baby,
yes.
yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
What was it, King Junior or whatever, like, or King Baby?
Baby Shark.
And then I love Nefertiti, or what was her name? What was her dumb avatar name?
Oh
Nefertiti?
god.
Oh right. That whole thing.
I told you
like,
there's
I
no
see
fucking
you.
way we named her that.
It was one of the only pieces of media to survive the purge, so it is now the most culturally relevant.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like,
Go
yes,
back.
The Avatar is
start
now
a future. Start a society
Avatar is
based
now
on
the
any
most
other
culturally relevant piece of media in pop culture. If every other piece of pop culture is destroyed,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
them beating the shit out of their kid, and like, we're gonna make such great parents. You know, someday, not today.
Not
but-
to no.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
someday.
still enjoying
Yeah.
this show. It's just fun every
Yeah,
week
same.
to week.
Yeah. All right, and then let's talk about After Party.
Man, so last week was not my favorite episode. I dug some of the things, the trick of us seeing realizing that you're seeing normal wedding reception footage, like that is 100% unvarnished in the background of that.
Yeah.
And then realizing that, like, shit, that actually stop doing that immediately. You're breaking the show.
It's
I
not.
don't
Yeah.
want to see it.
Yeah.
Well, it breaks their
Yeah.
premise of their basic premise is to see the same story through
the mind movies.
through
Yeah.
the mind
not,
movies
not,
of
not,
other
not
characters,
home movies.
but not.
Yeah.
But we're
Yeah.
never supposed to see reality.
It was a
Because
neat gimmick
we're-
I didn't like immediately.
As the
Yeah.
as the audience, we are supposed to be in doubt of any one story because we know that any one of these people or multiple of them can be lying.
Yeah.
But we don't
Yeah.
have that with the videos.
Yeah.
Right.
That said,
So,
the Hitchcock Far From Heaven looking
oh man,
Oh my God.
like 50s melodrama broke me
perfect.
this week. It was perfect.
And we've been waiting for Elizabeth Perkins to have her episode,
Oh
and
my God.
she killed
She
it.
has been waiting. She's been waiting in the background, drinking, waiting for her episode.
Putting together
and it
all of
turns-
the
it
things
turns-
happening to her, all the gaslighting, which they're pulling
Yes.
straight from Gaslight,
Now
and
this-
the
Yep,
and
yep.
the,
So this
the
is
Adderall.
this is what I
Yeah.
love After Party for, is episodes like
Yeah.
this, as far as, oh, did I get your name wrong? And just doubling down to try and make it look like, nope,
Yep.
he scrabbled the name wrong and fucking switched it
and
around.
then
Yeah.
changed
Edgar's-
it. Yeah.
This, I mean, we already knew Edgar was pretty sketchy dude and was not like,
But yeah, he's fucking
but
diabolical.
Right.
he's a piece of shit. Like,
Yeah.
he's a monster.
I
Like,
was telling Nick, it gets funnier to me every episode. It's not a joke that anyone can ever deliver the punchline on. It's not even really a joke. But the fact that his stupid Bitcoin scam is named after Alexander the Great's horse, Bucephalus.
Yes.
Bucephalus.
And,
And
the thing
the
and the code
password-
they're looking for is his dad's horse, his dad
Yeah, his
Alexander's
name is-
horse.
Alexander. The
And-
horse. And
and-
they cannot figure out
No
what
one
the
can-
code is.
Yeah, no one can
Yeah,
say the
yeah.
first name right. No one can figure out the code for the second. Like, I don't know why that. It's not even funny. It's just like it's just this dense, like, fucking nerdy writer thing that they did.
Les is like,
Yeah.
it's not even funny. Why am I laughing? Like,
God,
But it's
damn
so-
you!
It's
it's
yeah.
It's that
it was-
extra effort that makes this show fucking sweet.
It was a joke for the writers' room.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they were laughing at it every
The
week.
samurai sword. You can't call them that anymore.
You don't got them anymore.
What?
Yeah.
That's-
no.
like-
You called it an Oriental sword earlier, and you can't call it that anymore.
again, and to my theory, what I'm going to call the suit of armor theory.
Yep.
So the suit of armor, like, is has been being brought up in the previous episodes as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
why I'm suspecting Stingray is that he's the only one whose story involved him sleeping in front of the suit of armor. So, and my suspicion is that there's someone hiding in that suit of armor. So, if they were to get out and try and kill and poison Edgar, he would have seen them. So I think that's a lie. Either he was in the suit of armor, or, and hear me out on this, Edgar was. Because Edgar's the one that ordered it, remember?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's ordering
that's true.
it.
I feel like if this one we're gonna find out that Edgar poisoned himself somehow.
So at the end of this one, it feels like he got doped by his own cake, right?
Yeah.
And before
Probably.
we know
And he
that
also
Grace gave him something.
She ground up an
Right.
Adderall
Is
in
it
his drink.
like everything combined?
I think-
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then-
Or was it Adderall? Like we're not even sure it's all the same pills.
Yeah.
I think
but I
I
think
think
it-
they established it was, but
Yeah, I think everybody. I think it's only. There's never been sleeping pills. I think it's only been Adderall.
it's only been
Yeah.
Adderall.
But I think he got Adderall and the Devil's Trumpet, and and whatever was in the cake.
Right. And just like dosed like
Like I'm
everybody
really
dosed it
wondering
by
if it's
accident.
if like death by 1,000 cuts here.
Yeah, like if everyone dosed him not intending to kill him, like if everyone
Right.
dosed him for another purpose,
Oh yeah,
Right.
Terry, you've definitely eaten 8 trackers. You should go to the doctor.
doctor, there's a light radiation issue. But also, yeah, the her speech, the way when she confirms it for
Mhm.
herself, like,
Yeah.
because you can never be social when you feel like you're crazy, you're trying to prove it to yourself in any way you can. And in the speech, when that kind of speech comes back without the star on it that she put down,
Uh-huh.
she
Yep.
knows what's up. And
Yep.
she stares down Edgar and reads the script word for
Yeah.
word. And
no,
it is-
no. She doesn't read his thing. She says the lyrics to.
I thought that was
Mbop.
what was written on there. Is that not was
No.
written there, or did she just do
No.
No, because that's the
She
dad's
just-
favorite song, and so she just stared at him and said the lyrics to Mbop. But I don't think she read whatever
Yeah.
was in the speech.
Yeah, I don't think so
the?
either.
I love that everyone around her like those are the lyrics to Mbop,
Yeah, she. Wait, are those the lyrics?
and he's like, those weren't just weird ramblings.
Well, because I think that's the song he was torturing her with.
yeah.
Yeah,
Play.
when
Yeah,
he's like,
fucking with
there's
her.
no music playing, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a real.
Yeah, this was a fantastic episode.
Also, dick magicians. What was a close up?
Erotic
Close-up sex
magicians?
magician, erotic magician.
Magicians.
What is
Wait,
it? What makes it erotic? They do it with their dicks.
They do
He
dick
does dick
tricks.
Just Tiffany
The
Haddish
little-
is on it. Like,
The little,
yeah, no, I
the
don't.
little fist bump behind, like he does behind her too.
Yep,
John
yep.
Cho's character is like this little fist
Yep.
bump. Yep, dick tricks,
him
baby.
constantly
Yeah.
like stretching weird and holding himself like
Yeah.
He's like in front of the fireplace in that weird like pose that like that crotch open pose. It
Right.
was weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
Funkle.
can't wait to see how this wraps up next
Yeah,
week.
one more week and it looks Twin Peaky.
And the funny thing is, like, there is every chance that this didn't work in a second season.
Right.
Sure.
Like catching that lightning in a bottle again with a different cast.
Well,
like,
I think the fact that, and I keep forgetting this every time it pops up, but it's like Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and I was like,
it's Lord Miller.
I'm like, oh, produced by, but it's written by Chris Miller. Like,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's not so much lightning in a bottle as it is.
They're just fucking talented.
You gave a
really
talented
good people.
You gave a talented writer and a talented producers, talented people to talented actors to work with. And you got a good show out of like, it doesn't seem that complicated.
That all makes sense. Yeah, that's true.
I cannot wait. It looks like next week, I forgot how they described it, a mix of camp and 90s soaps or something like that. That's Twin Peaks. That is literally like the two ingredients you pour together in the chemistry set.
90s thrillers and 80s soap operas. Or
and I was like, that's Twin Peaks. I cannot wait.
Unless it turned over to be like, hey, that has a name, right? And that's Twin Peaks.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
Dual spires.
Cannot wait. All right. And our final dessert for the week, let's talk about the final episode of Justified City Primeval. Which I was not as in love with this as I wanted to be. But it definitely came on strong at the end.
So for me, the ending really solidified. I didn't realize this was what they were doing the whole time, but Raylan doesn't shoot anyone in the rest of this.
I mean, not until the very end.
No, but in all the other episodes, I hadn't realized it because he's getting in a bunch of face-offs and stuff.
Yep.
But he
hadn't shot anybody.
In previous seasons of Justified, he'd already have a body count by the time this.
That is true.
What I realized is that Raylan is trying to do things differently in this case. And when it finally ends and he, in his mind, gets it wrong. Because you can argue about whether or not the shoot, like, they were going to pull on each other. They were going to shoot each other. It was a matter of when.
And Holbrook has a gun in the back. We see the gun in the back of his pants, but he's not going for it.
And if you were just watch that episode, you'd be wondering why Raylan is so upset. And I'd be like, well, the whole rest of the seasons of Justified, only time he's ever killed anybody has been when they had a hand on their gun.
Yeah.
That's his whole moral argument for what he does.
Right.
Is the fact that he killed the person that was trying to kill him. We can argue whether or not he forces those people into those positions and what the morality of that is. But in his mind, that's the logic of, and so when he reveals that tape, Raylan in his mind is like, he made a mistake. He got it wrong. And he quits.
And what's crazy is that no, you didn't. Like, there's no way when they locked Menzel in that room, I was like, are you kidding me? I go back to what his girlfriend said. She's like, no, that wouldn't testify against him unless he was dead. And even then, unless there was a stake in his heart, I'd feel nervous about it. I'm like, this guy is slipped free of 100 different things. You're going to tell me you're okay with just locking him in a room and not following up? I would not have left until I saw the fucking body.
Well, thank God he followed it up because he got there in time to warn his girlfriend off. Like, not in time for the Albanian mob.
Dipshit kid.
Albanian,
Well, God damn it. Clement Menzel is touched by God.
Yeah. The moment when the kid's hospital bodyguard who gives him the pistol.
Yeah.
When Menzel shows up, he goes, and props to that actor.
He
instinctively goes for the gun. And he gets shot in the moment when he's realizing I gave it to the kid. That's my gun. Yeah. Fuck.
That's my gun. I'm getting shot with.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And he walks in there and everyone doesn't quite get the drop on him. They're like either looking the wrong way. Like he has to whistle to one guy and get him in the fucking face. I was like, you're Domino. You're long shot. You have probability powers. How are you doing
seriously,
this?
It's nice guys. It's like, man, did you see me fall off the hotel? I think I'm immortal.
It's like, I think I'm invincible.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah.
Guys, look at my jacket.
But that was the thing is like, at the end of it, I was like, man, I this almost feels stupid. I'm like, I can't believe you guys would do this. Like, why would you leave him there? You know, we all know he's going to get out.
I think they're leaving an open because they know they can't just execute this guy in front of a U.S. Marshal.
Yeah, I guess.
But it
like,
leaves
here's the
that
thing.
weird gray area where you're like, man,
It felt
you
it
can't
felt
leave him
written.
there to die, man. Like,
It felt written. It felt written to me because I'm like, there is no way that these Albanians who are so smart don't immediately take Raylan home, go back,
And shoot
open
that
that
motherfucker.
door with 4 people
And
and
shoot that
shoot
son of
him.
a... Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Just open it enough and run the gun underneath it
Yeah.
and just
I mean, here's the
spray.
thing, like, Skender going back was stupid enough, but yeah, if you bring back 6 guys, they're all armed, they're all pointing at it. When he makes his run at you, you kill him. Like, the idea that you're just gonna leave him in there is the stupidest idea. I was like, it almost ruined the show for me because I was like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. This guy has escaped every single thing. We know what's
I
coming.
got really afraid they were going to
sense
fuck up
if-
Raylan's character for me by
if you-
having Raylan just leave him.
I can only excuse it because
Yeah.
the audience is the ones that are privy to Menzel's seemingly luck powers. The
Yeah, right,
Albanians had no less because Raylan's seen him get out of a bunch of stuff.
Right.
And I think the Albanians are trying to like leave it for Raylan and also like, hey, this gives you a body 3 days from now when this guy dies of dehydration.
Right.
And then you can wrap up your investigation. And he got trapped while he was trying to hide in this panic room. In their mind, it's tidy. Like they're trying to tidy it up without anyone having to look after him. Because what another great line when the DA, she's private because she's getting money from these defense attorneys.
Yeah, she's a defense attorney.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking of, but she is like, "Hey, we had a deal." It's like, yeah, you want the marshal taken care of, and you want this guy taken care of. And I was like, what a great fucking line.
I've never seen anybody just put the different
Great
fucking
stuff.
English on the.
Also, I love that Raylan like spends about a day, maybe day and a half, pretending that he's not going to go back, and get like, and everyone trying to kill like, she's like, God damn it, Raylan. He's like, yeah, I get that a lot. And honestly, she doesn't have. It's not like, again, it's a whole moral argument and justified as what's the difference between this and you putting that gun across the table and trying to make him go for it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And like structurally, there is no difference in other than the fact that Raylan feels responsible in one way more than the other, which is weird because he's way less directly responsible for the dude thirsting to death because of an Albanian thing than he is just shooting the guy. But also really making me believe Raylan retires.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of after like a justified but bad kill in Raylan's weird moral thing, I actually bought it of like, yeah, I think he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which leaves it open to the only fucking thing that can undo it.
Oh man, that was so cool. I was because when he shot Manzala, I was like, shit, there's 25 minutes of left of this. Like,
yeah. Seeing Natalie Z come back was great. And
yes.
And I actually, what I was hoping is that they were going to do they're not likely to do their season Justified. Well, maybe they're planning. I don't know. But like, I figured, okay, they're going to have a talk and maybe there'll be a nod toward reconciliation. Kind of like they did at the end of Party Down, where I'm like, oh, okay, so this is their happy ending. We get the happy ending that you can have now. But instead, it's the opposite. It's the he's got his happy ending with his daughter, and they brought another person back. Well, Goggins,
the only person that might be able to,
only thing that would bring him back. Yep.
And because what's a marshal's job if not hunting down fugitives that have escaped? And he gets the notification,
seeing the alert,
and then he gets the call, and I was like, this show, like, this is where you cut to credits because on whether or not he's going to be able to, because honestly, this is the best move for him. He's doing the right thing, the right call, and then Walton Goggins shows up, and I forgot. I was like, God, I love hearing you talk. You are. It's incumbent. It's incumbent upon me to stress upon you.
It's a weird thing to have a character do, but really, the daughter's entire role in the show is just to show that it is actually impossible for Raylan to do his job and have her with him.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it was frustrating. It's one of the reasons the show didn't rank as high for me. Is it frustrated me most of the season that I didn't understand any other show. This is supposed to be part of the arc. He's supposed to learn how to do it with his daughter, And he doesn't.
Yeah.
He flat out doesn't.
Yeah.
He has to send her away to wrap this up.
Yeah.
And then he gets her back because he retires, and it leaves you so that you are dead sure that if he picks that phone up, he is putting down his daughter.
Yeah. Yep. So I was a little bummed that we didn't get Marshall, Tim, or Rachel at the retirement party.
No.
Yeah.
I was a little, and I'm not surprised. I have a feeling
Well,
that was
that's the
supposed to be
Miami retirement party for the Miami chief, and they're Kentucky.
right. But still, I'm kind of surprised. And I wonder if originally, though, if they were going to do something with, like, they could have brought Art and those guys back for a retirement party. That could have been where the retirement party happened or something. They could have brought them in.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder if Nick Cersei turning into a right-wing douchebag didn't have something to do with him not coming back.
Sure.
But I would have loved for just to touch on what Tim and Rachel are up to, because I always like those characters, and I feel like they just got left out.
Yeah. Well, they were
As long as we're bringing everybody else back, why not one little 2-minute scene with them?
Yeah, they were always. I loved them being. I would love them if they had brought in them to be the go-betweens in Chicago, and they know how Chicago works. Because honestly, the best part about them in the original show is that Raylan comes in and immediately gets more police work done than they can ever do because he's from there. Like, and he's like, because he was born there and he's Kentucky born, he has credence or like a fucking past that no other cop there has. They could live there for almost all their lives if they weren't born in Harlan County, that they don't have any cachet.
Right.
And that was always the tension of this new guy that they bring in, and they have to like follow his lead on everything. And I would love that. And they kind of do it in this season of Raylan hanging back and following the lead on all the Chicago's. I'm surprised they didn't make one of them
Detroit.
Tim or
Detroit.
or Detroit, was it?
Yeah.
It was Detroit.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Chicago.
Maybe the actors were busy, who knows?
Yeah. But also love Lawyer using the book that she knows is about to come down of like, hey, I'm just going to introduce myself because I'm going to be about one of the only viable options for this judgeship in a minute.
Like, well, so yeah, that's very complicated. Oh, yeah, that's cool. If you're thinking of Diana so-and-so, I would call her house right now.
Yeah.
It was pretty baller.
Yeah.
Again, I was weird of like, felt like we were rewarding that character for doing a lot of fucking
sketch shit.
Pretty sketch shit this season.
Yeah.
And her ending
She's not
up
a lot better than Peter David. I mean, Peter David. She's not a lot better than Keith David.
No, I would say that was
famous
like
writer of X Factor.
I was like, yeah, I mean, to get to this judgeship, I don't know. It felt like you had to do a bunch of shit that you are that are now arguing that the other guy did was wrong. But whatever. Also, we never really resolve the woman like police chief or whatever that basically was going to railroad that homeless black guy with the
they sort of do, and that they bring her in, but it's a question.
And that's a long road between that conversation, and she seems pretty confident.
Yeah.
She might
all in all,
it
wrapped up better. It finished
but...
real strong.
Yeah, it did. I remain. It's not as good as Justified. It's definitely not a party down return for me. But I really enjoyed it. But I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we got it.
Well, I was just surprised because I thought with the last episode of the first series, I thought we answered everything we needed to when he didn't shoot Boyd.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that he stuck to his weird moral compass, and that was the entire premise of the show of would he not shoot a guy if he really didn't go for his gun. And now they say even more about his character after him actually doing it, pulling the trigger on another Boyd, the actor Boyd, but Boyd Holbrook.
Will they go back for one more season with him and Walton Goggins?
Honestly, I was not on board until that last scene of it, and I was like, oh yeah, I kind of want to see these two go at it again.
Yeah.
Sorry, Boyd. Walton Goggins Boyd is electric. I forgot how charismatic he is on screen.
Yeah, Luis Guzman appearing was great. Like,
that was great too. Yeah,
I knew the minute of like, well, he's escaping this police truck because there's no other person in the world that can look as disappointed. Luis Guzman, they basically cast you to look bummed out, like that you just got tricked.
Well, he's got a pedigree with Elmore Leonard stuff in that he's an out of sight.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of him in
Uh,
Poker Face too, where he basically was the same
Yeah.
of like, oh, one got pulled over on me. Oh no. You just got a good face for someone that got tricked, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
Yep, that's why there's a statue of him up at Greendale Community College.
that's right.
Yeah, tricked into that too, I think.
Yep.
All right. That'll wrap it up for us this week. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Les.
Thanks, Randy.
dudes.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. A reminder, you can go to patreon.com/tvdudes and throw us that $1 an episode and listen to us talk this week about Joyride. And until next time,
TV Dudes on! The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV dude Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.